Today, I had the pleasure of reading the records for Lucy's Art and Frame Shop. And as I'm engaging in the energy, the frequency of your shop, I'm taken up into the clouds, which I think is more meaningful for me than for you. It got me into the place of surrender to receive that information. And so as I'm sitting waiting, typically I am a little, what do you call it? I need to get going right away, but I was forced to sit and wait, and I was in this cross-legged position, kind of in this sky type setting, and I'm just sitting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and I'm just staring out at what looks like a beautiful kind of fortress off in the distance, and this is not typical of me, and so I'm waiting for quite a while, and then all of a sudden this procession, this line of beings comes walking out towards me, and they're all male, and I get instantly, it's this brotherhood, and they all take the form of a different, what I would see as like the wise man or the seer. So I saw what looked almost like a very ancient bishop style man who had one of those incense burners in his hand, a circular one that was on a chain that was waving, and he had the crown. It's almost like I so don't know my terminology, but the hat that sits on the top of his head with kind of like the bubble and then the cross coming out of it. So there was this type of a man, but then the next man had a very Chinese looking, but ancient, like the wisdom seeker or the religious person from this culture where like the kind of long, straggly kind of goatee, but he also had almost long monk-like garb on with a very specific hat as well. And so I see this line of men, and they're all this kind of style person where it's this, and they kept saying wisdom seekers, secret keepers, brotherhood. And so this is the energy that was coming through, and they circle me, and then without talking, there's this kind of frequency of chanting that's going on. They circle me in this line and then don't say a word and go towards, now the line's heading, it's almost as if they were coming to pick me up, and then the line heads back towards this fortress kind of that's off in the distance, and I'm the last person now following this line of the brotherhood back into the fortress. And as we move in closer, I am immediately taken into what is, I can only describe as a huge igloo. It looked like a castle or a fortress from off in the distance, but as I get closer now, it's definitely some kind of igloo. And as we move into it, we take seats around the very interior wall of this igloo, as if it's in Native American culture, like in the thatched hut that you would sit around and the fire's going in the middle, and then the shadows dance on the walls, the smoking hut. And so it's this setting, but it is the exact opposite of Native American culture. It is definitely frozen water in cubed out ice sculptures, and we're sitting in this, and I get that there is like this fire in the middle, but it's not a fire, and I keep questioning. I'm like, what is the purpose of this? And I almost see now shadow animals dancing on the inside of the walls, but it's not that. And so I'm very confused, and I'm asking for help. And finally I get, this was much later because I kept getting back to this, but to set the scene here, in the very middle, it's this, these crystals, these large, I'd have to say 5-pointed, but it's not as specific as 5-pointed. I think this was just for me to see that these were almost like an outcropping of quartz crystal, but it wasn't quartz crystal, might have been, but they were these large crystals, and they were in this were a cluster together in the middle of this room, and they kept telling me they're the Brotherhood and they're the wisdom seekers, the secret keepers, and they told me this line, and I had to write it down because I knew I would forget. They say, we're here for peace, sovereignty, and to bring light, and they were showing me that basically that there's you are a component of this and you're a manifestation or in connection, I think spirit or soul or a component of you is a part of this group and manifested here in this third dimension. And they were showing me light beams from all over the world. I think it was actually more Northern America is where I was seeing it. That's the geographical kind of location. But I was seeing these beams of light that were also this brotherhood that's a part of you and what you're doing, and that there's other people here manifested in this third dimension that are facilitating and bringing through these messages of the brotherhood as you are, as I got the impression that you were a part of this sect. The word like cult, sect kept like coming into mind, although, cult has a very bad kind of connotation, but it's not. It was just very much so this brotherhood, this connection to, and they were showing me that there's in spirit that that you are connected, and they're facilitating, they're helping basically you with this message of peace, sovereignty, and bringing the light and channeling the light. And it was really interesting because they showed me you and your location, and then they showed me these different locations. And I got the feeling that if you were to meet somebody else who had one of these locations, like yours, like your storefront, that you would instantly know that you would feel on a very deep level a connection to these people. They just kept showing me that there is this like brotherhood that's working throughout the US and maybe even on a world level, that you guys are here almost facilitating what they have in the spiritual realm. And it's almost as if they're feeding you guys here in this physical realm. And even showing me the layout of your store, it was so interesting. They kept saying that that basically people have to be initiated into this brotherhood to receive the secrets, the wisdom, the light. And it's so funny, even how your store is set up. It's like you are one thing on the outside, and then you can move through the back room and you're brought into what this majesty of being in a workshop setting in the back room. But it's as if they were saying, like, even look how she set it up. It's this like initiation. People have to be brought in, and they said it's a very one-on-one connection that you take people and they then get the empowerment of what you are bringing through in the spirit realm from this brotherhood, that that if they pass through the initiation phase and they kind of make it to the back room, that they are given the light, the sovereignty, the peace, the secrets, the wisdom. And it's like one by one, there's this transcendence of each individual that can walk into your shop. And I don't see it as a judgment on your part. It's almost as if people who are connected to this go through the initiation on a spirit, on a soul level of asking a question, opening themselves up, and almost in a vulnerability way, like, oh, what is this workshop that you're doing? And then that's when the passage opens and they're shown the back room, or they're brought into the light. And so it's as if you are transitioning people, and it was very one-on-one is how it felt. And there was definitely, and judgment, such a bad word, but there was definitely this process. My hands keep doing this thing where there's this up and down motion, and then they're kind of being granted access. It's like this waving or going through. It's like they're allowed then to open up themselves into this brotherhood, or the energy of the brotherhood, which then can bestow the light and the secrets. And so back to this igloo, I was very confused on what was happening, because the igloo, number one, I'm like, why is this an igloo? Because I was seeing the Native American way with the fire and the shadows, and I'm like, this isn't how it's receiving what's happening here. And it was very much so about the light. and it was light code. It was interesting. So as soon as I started asking more questions, this is way above my pay grade. I couldn't really comprehend, but it was as if the light came in, and they used at one point the moon to show me. And I don't think the moon was a catalyst for this, but moon, I think, representing light coming in and somehow connecting with these crystals that were in the center of the room. And then it's like this crystal code or this light code. And I asked language of light and my head shook, so that wasn't it. But this like light code emanated from the crystals, and somehow because of the frozen ice or the frozen water, there was something about the refracting of the light, or the ability that this frozen water, being surrounded by this frozen water, being in this igloo, it allowed you to feel the resonance of the light code. And this is how the messages were bestowed upon the Brotherhood and these wise men that sat in the circle and received this energy. And so I was just very curious, I think, personally, about how they were receiving, or what they were channeling, or what was coming through, what was happening. And it's so interesting, too. I haven't read, I just opened my book here, because I've grabbed the last 2 days, I've been very close to a Lemurian aquantine calcite crystal, and I had grabbed it before I did the meditation on your property today, and it's really interesting. I just opened the page and read the first word, but this crystal gets its name from an affinity to the element of water and to the water-oriented civilization of Lemuria. Whether a physical or etheric place, Lemuria was a realm of the watery qualities, intuition, dreaming, feeling, and visionary consciousness. The Lemurian way of being was empathic, with the consciousness very much overlapping that of the spiritual realm. So, I think there's a direct connect. I know there's a direct connection to this crystal. Maybe this is the crystal that was trying to come through, or maybe this will help directly connect. I don't know. Get some Lemurian aquantine calcite for the store, but there is this empowerment, and their message, again, I just loved this message. They were repeating in the very beginning, the first words they said to me was this almost mantra, or this mission statement of peace, sovereignty, and the bringers of light. And this brotherhood, that's what they were doing. And it's as if you are a manifestation of this energy, or you're connected to this energy on a soul level, and you are one of the brotherhood here in this day and age, with your storefront that is still, I think, bringing the light, and even though this sounds bad, initiating people into this process, and even just knowing you, thinking I know you a little bit, how there is this almost reserved quality. You don't put everything out in the first meeting. It's like you almost do have this way about allowing people to make the first step, and then you kind of open up for them. It's this very beautiful give and take. It seems like you are one of these secret keepers, or wisdom seekers, as they were calling themselves, from the brotherhood, that were helping people to find their way, but really relied on the people to make the first step and opening themselves up to receive this. And so it seems like you are a facilitator of this energy, and the shop is definitely the place. Your shop is your igloo, where you are facilitating this transference of the peace, sovereignty, and light. And so thank you so much for letting me do this reading, and with light and love always.